Imagine walking into your family's house, thinking you're about to witness your brother get everything handed to him, and then realizing he's about to get exactly what he doesn't deserve. 30 people cheering, your parents smiling like it's a victory, and you're the only one who knows the truth. That day, I didn't clap, I didn't blink. I just looked at Dad and said, "You forgot one thing." In that second, everything changed. And the inheritance meeting, everyone had rehearsed for months, went completely off script. And when I finally revealed what Grandma Margaret had planned, let's just say nobody in that room walked away the same, perfect. चलिए, मैं आपकी स्टोरी को पैराग्राफ, स्टाइल में 2000 वर्ड्स तक एक्सपैंड करके लिख देता हूँ। US English कॉन्वर्सेशनल स्टोरी टेलिंग स्टाइल में, ड्रामेटिक हुक्स और स्लैंग टच के साथ, ताकि YouTube narration friendly लगे. If you had been standing in that living room in Tampa that afternoon, you probably would have thought you were witnessing the coronation of a king. My older brother Ryan certainly acted like he owned the room. He stood there in front of the whole family, tapping his glass with a spoon, grinning like he'd just discovered he controlled the universe. Mom and Dad decided to leave. All 8 rental properties to me, announced with that smug, rehearsed confidence he'd perfected over the years. Then he turned his head toward me, shrugged, and added, "Tegan, sorry, looks like you get nothing." The room went insane. Cheers, whistles, slaps on the back, someone shouting, "That's my boy!" Cousins high-fived him. Brooke, his fiancée, practically glowed like she'd won the lottery. And Mom dabbed at her eyes, a proud little tear slipping down her cheek. Everyone clapped. Everyone except me. I didn't move. I didn't blink. I just looked straight at my dad and said calmly, "Dad, you forgot one thing." His fork froze halfway to his mouth. Ryan's grin disappeared instantly. Brooke stopped mid-sip, and 30 pairs of eyes went completely still. You could hear the AC humming as if the house itself was holding its breath. In that single moment, everyone realized the plan they'd rehearsed for months was about to explode in front of them. My name's Tegan Whitaker, and if you'd met my family before that day, you'd probably have thought we were the perfect Florida success story. Big house in South Tampa, boats parked in the driveway, smiling for Christmas cards every year, pretending everything was perfect. But inside the house, there was an unspoken hierarchy. Ryan came first, always. From the moment he was born, everyone noticed him. He was charming, confident, and the golden child. Little league hero, high school quarterback, the son who stayed, local to help manage the family. Rentals, every family barbecue, ended the same way. Someone would slap him on the back and say, "That kid's gonna run the Whitaker." Empire one day, and he soaked it up like oxygen. Meanwhile, I learned early that I existed in his shadow. Teachers mixed up our names until Ryan corrected them. Birthdays meant his cake first. Gifts opened loudest. Stories retold at the table, while mine stayed folded quietly in my chest. When I asked Mom for math tutoring in middle school, she said money was tight because Ryan needed new cleats. When I got into the University of Georgia on a full scholarship, Dad's only comment was, "Guess someone has to leave Florida." So I did. I packed my beat-up Honda Civic and drove north until Tampa disappeared behind me. Atlanta was the first real breath I'd taken without someone else's shadow looming over me. I started as a junior analyst at a commercial real estate firm, crunching numbers on apartment complexes and strip malls. I learned how deeds worked, how trusts worked, how ownership could quietly and legally shift in ways most people didn't even notice. Over the years, I became very good at it. 2 years ago, I was promoted to senior property analyst. I bought a small midtown condo, filled it with plants that actually lived, and built a life where my value wasn't measured against someone else's spotlight. Quiet nights, control over my own space, freedom. The only tether to my past was Grandma Margaret, the one person who never compared me to Ryan, who never asked why I couldn't just be happy staying in Florida like him. She'd sit on her porch, silver hair twisted into a bun, and really listen to me. Sometimes she handed me the keys to one of the rentals and said, "Walk through it. Feel what real ownership is like." That became our ritual, and her trust became my oxygen. 3 years ago, everything changed without anyone knowing. Grandma called me one Tuesday evening. "Tegan," she said, "come down this weekend. I need your eyes on something." No explanation. When I arrived at her old Northeast St. Pete home, she had 2 thick folders and a pot of coffee that could strip paint. The first folder was full of bank statements, income logs, expense reports. Over the past 18 months, more than $400,000 had vanished from the rental accounts, labeled maintenance, emergency repairs, management fees, but the receipts were missing or illegible, and the handwriting on the few that were there matched Ryan's. I asked why she didn't confront him. Because your parents would defend him, she said. Say boys will be boys. Promise he'll pay it back someday. By the time someday comes, there'll be nothing left to pay back. Then she slid the second folder toward me. It contained a revocable living trust, naming her as trustee for life and me as the sole successor trustee and beneficiary. Also included were quitclaim deeds ready to transfer titles immediately. She explained it like it was the weather. This keeps everything private. No public filings until I'm gone. Once recorded, they're ironclad. Ryan doesn't find out until it's too late to undo. I asked why she chose me. She looked out at the water and said simply, because you understand what these houses really are. Families live there. Kids grow up there. You won't gamble it away. I signed every page, watched her initial the deeds too, and burned the extra copies in the outdoor fireplace that night. For the next 2.5 years, nothing on the surface changed. Ryan kept collecting rent checks, bragging about his portfolio. My parents praised him endlessly. I made regular trips to check on tenants when Grandma asked, fixing what actually needed fixing instead of inventing excuses for expenses. Nobody noticed the county records now listed me as the legal owner. Grandma's health declined, but she kept asking me if I was still keeping our secret. I always answered yes. That was our ritual. 2 words that meant everything. The last time I saw her, she gripped my hand, whispered, "Paper beats promises every single time," and smiled like she had just won a bet nobody else even knew existed. 7 months ago, after Grandma passed, Mom asked me to stay an extra day. "We need to talk about the property," she said softly, voice like bad news wrapped in sugar. The next day, the dining room looked like a board meeting. Dad sat at the head of the table, sleeves rolled up, legal pad in front of him. Ryan lounged nearby, acting like he already owned everything. Mom kept refilling coffee. A stack of documents waited in the center. A waiver, asking me to sign away any claim to the rentals. "It's just paperwork," Mom said. "Ryan will manage day to day. This keeps everything peaceful," Dad added. "We're just trying to make things simple." Ryan smirked, twirling a pen. "Nobody wants lawyers involved." I slid the paper back. "I'm not signing anything." Silence fell. Dad's eyebrows shot up. Mom's hand froze. Ryan looked irritated. "You live in Atlanta. You don't even want them. Why make this hard?" I said calmly. "Because they're not yours to give." I picked up my keys and walked out. The screen door slammed behind me. They thought I was throwing a tantrum. I wasn't. I was waiting. 2 weeks ago, the invitation arrived, a formal celebration of Grandma Margaret's legacy. Saturday, 3 p.m. The house looked like a coronation. Tents in the backyard, caterers serving shrimp and crab cakes, champagne flutes everywhere. Ryan strutted through the crowd, Brooke hanging on his arm, soaking up congratulations. I rolled my suitcase straight into the living room, waited. Eventually, Ryan stood, glass raised. "All 8 properties are officially under my name," he announced. Cheers erupted. That's when I stepped forward. I opened the suitcase, pulled out the first quitclaim deed, then the second up to 8, all bearing the county seal. Finally, the living trust, thick and highlighted in yellow. The family lawyer flipped through them, slowly pale. "These are recorded," he said. 3 years ago, Tegan Whitaker is the legal owner." Ryan lunged, shouting, "This is fake!" But the lawyer calmly confirmed every notary seal. Mom burst into tears, Dad sank to the floor, and Ryan's rage grew louder. I simply said, "Grandma asked me to wait until someone tried to take what was already mine." Brooke quietly walked out, leaving her champagne behind. Ryan slammed his glass on the table, breaking the stem, but it didn't matter. The papers were ironclad. My victory wasn't about revenge. It was about honoring her wishes. 3 months later, the dust had settled. Ryan's name disappeared from all leases, bank accounts, and vendor contracts. Tenants now paid me directly. Rent checks arrived on time. Repairs were handled efficiently, vacancies dropped, and nobody tried to scam them anymore. The IRS hit Ryan for tax issues from past years, leaving him with 6-figure debts and limited options. Mom and Dad downsized. The boat sold first, followed by jewelry, and their once grand life shrunk into a small condo. Ryan moved downtown and started selling cars. Brooke returned her ring in silence. I stayed in Atlanta, quietly managing properties, buying a couple more and living the life I built myself. Dylan, my middle brother, texts occasionally, short check-ins only. Everyone else in the family acts like I don't exist, and honestly, that works perfectly for me. Sometimes I sit on my balcony, city lights below, and think about the little girl who used to beg for math, tutoring while her brother got new cleats. That girl learned one thing: loud voices grab attention, but paper beats promises every time.